Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. Folks, it is always great to be here with you on another Fitness Friday, the best day of the week. Gotta love it. Folks, I wanted to kick this episode off here on competitive analysis, competitive strategies, and had to start off with a quick story here. So a few years ago, and I've shared this before a long time ago, several years ago, I actually asked my dad, I said, you know what, Dad? I want you to teach me the mechanics of basketball. We're going to spend some time out here on this court. We're going to shoot, yada, yada, yada. And so there I was, missing some, making some, shooting some bricks. Fortunately, some of my baskets actually went through. Some of my shots went through the basket. And but I remember probably midway through the time he and I spent out there on that court, I said, you know what? That this is so easy. Like, who ever would have known that basketball is so easy? And let me tell you what he told me. It's only easy because there's no one guarding you. Let that sink in. It's only easy because there's no one guarding you. And so, and I never forgot that, but I think it makes such a good point, particularly as it relates to competitive analysis, because a lot of people, I mean, not only just in the fitness industry, operate from a position of kind of tunnel vision. I'm focusing on my facility, my studio, my chain, whatever the case may be. No, there's competitors out there. And what happens is you have a lot of entities that may be just cruising along year after year after year, doing well, revenue strong, sales strong, solid P&L, profit and loss. Then all of a sudden, bam, major chain, major competitor enters the market. 2 years from now, there's 5 locations, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, what happened? Now you got, member attrition, you got decreasing sales, decreasing revenues. It's just a challenge. And so, but what happened is, before, to keep the basketball analogy, you were shooting all those easy buckets, easy shots. Then, once that major competitor came in, those shots were then contested. You had someone guarding you. And so it is so important as we think about, within the framework of competitive analysis, the concept of understanding the idea of having someone guarding you, whether you realize it or not. Okay, there's some people that may say, oh, well, I'm the only one in my town. Okay, well, guess what? You're competing with online and virtual services and resources as far as fitness is concerned. So we always need to be mindful of that. And so the SWOT analysis is something I've discussed a number of times on these leadership episodes, as I'm going to do today. But it's just such a fundamental aspect of competitive analysis, of knowing what is going on in your market. Okay, marketplace analysis, situational analysis, SWOT analysis, all of these are so important. Because that way you won't get caught off guard, flat-footed, all of a sudden having to react to competitive pressures, the new entrants in the market, whatever the case may be. You will be paying attention. You will see things unfold before they actually, kind of blow up. And it may be tough to overcome that at certain points. So when you think about the SWOT analysis, strengths and weaknesses are internal, opportunities and threats are external. So, for example, you may own a facility. So what are the strengths and weaknesses of your facilities? If you feel like, again, market research can be expensive, kind of determining all of that, consumer and member perceptions, all of that can be expensive. It doesn't have to be, just if you want to do market research. But a very cheap way, actually no-cost way of evaluating some of your strengths and weaknesses are, what are your reviews? What do your reviews say? What does the feedback say? What do your Google reviews say? What do your Yelp reviews say? They'll let you, members will tell you. If you're willing to take a look, if you're willing to open yourself up to feedback, and that way you will know what exactly you can base some of your marketing around, some of your advertising messaging around certainly the strengths, and then some of your competitors certainly have their weaknesses, and how can your strengths how do your strengths overcome the weaknesses of others so that potential members will choose you, your facility, or you as a trainer, your group fitness class. Okay, opportunities and threats. We talked about, the coronavirus has been a very, very, very big threat to the overall fitness industry, but all industries, quite frankly, and just our overall way of life. So just a very big threat. The fitness industry has certainly been hit particularly hard because you had some early gym closures, and then depending on market, some reopened and then closed again. And so it's just a very fluid situation, very volatile situation for a while until this coronavirus situation is under control. All right, opportunities. And so there's certainly opportunities, even in spite of us being in the middle of a pandemic, from a fitness perspective, from a fitness industry perspective. As I've alluded to several times, there's certainly opportunity that exists. And where is that greatest opportunity? Digitization and the virtualization of fitness. So you have apps, digital-based apps, that whole realm of leveraging technology. All right, that's always been there, but the coronavirus has certainly accelerated that move and that push towards greater digitization in the industry. Why? Because facilities were closed and they had to take some action in order to keep revenues flowing, keep those doors open in many cases. And so I want to start off an example here within the framework of a SWOT analysis, and think about when you're evaluating your competitive market, your competitors. It is always important to evaluate the market leaders. Who are the market leaders within your segment, within your market? All right, and so you cannot talk about fitness facility and fitness facility leadership without discussing Planet Fitness. You just simply can't. You just simply can't. And so club industry, and I highlighted this late last year, but I want to highlight it again to provide some quick context before I move forward into another article that certainly was published in January, but it's helpful to understand kind of why the decision was made and what prompted a pivot towards this in this direction more quickly by Planet. And so the title of this article is Planet Fitness Reports 36.8% Decline in Q3 2020 Revenue Tests Digital-Only Membership. So this was published by club industry staff of Club Industry Magazine, that's clubindustry.com for those who aren't familiar, on November 10th. And so I want to read this here quickly. Third quarter, and on these episodes, remember folks, this is not investment advice, this is not financial tips or anything like that. This is insight in terms of what's going on in the industry. I always like to be clear on that. So going on here, third quarter 2020 total revenue for Planet Fitness, Hampton, New Hampshire decreased 61.4 million or 36.8% to 105.4 million from 166.8 million in third quarter 2019. The company reported on November 5th. The decrease included a system-wide same-store sales decline of 5.6%. Man, what a tongue twister. The third quarter revenue loss was less than the 77.9% loss the company experienced in the second quarter due to the temporary closure of health clubs around much of the world through much of the second quarter. The company also shared that it's testing a digital-only membership that it calls PF Plus and would sell for $5.99 a month. This move was partially spurred by a high engagement on its mobile app of non-members, and it has in parentheses, 20% of subscriptions are non-members, which creates an opportunity for conversion to brick and mortar membership. Planet Fitness CEO Chris Rondo said on a call with analysts. The company is determining the best way to share that subscription revenue with franchisees. Planet Fitness's new joint app adoption rates were more than 60% in the third quarter. Nearly 30% of the company's total membership base has adopted the app, which includes new features such as in-app messaging, a QR code reader for instructions on how to use the equipment, and a crowd meter to check the capacity of each club in advance of going to the gym. Although content on the current mobile app is free, the PF Plus app will feature more premium content, including live daily workouts, digital fitness classes that can be done at home or in the gym, a variety of fitness trainers, and a workout series to help users advance over time. We view our standalone digital membership as a gateway to our traditional brick and mortar membership, not a replacement for it, Rondo said. And this provides us with an opportunity to further engage inside and outside the gym. The ability to provide even more content for an additional fee introduces prospective members to the brand. Longer-term digital content could potentially strengthen our value proposition to members throughout expanded or bundled offerings, potentially in adjacent categories. So we're going to skip this whole big section on revenue numbers, going to skip this big section on equipment sales. I want to quickly highlight a point here under membership numbers. It says, Planet Fitness ended the second quarter 2020 with 15.2 million members, down approximately 1% from the end of first quarter 2020. For clubs that reopened in May and June, membership levels remained relatively steady through the end of the second quarter, according to Rondo. So we want to highlight this point that you always want to evaluate the market leaders. I mean, you can't talk about e-commerce without discussing Amazon. All right, you can't discuss the big box retail sector without looking at Walmart, without looking at Target. All right, the big box wholesale clubs such as Costco, Sam's Club, BJ's. It's so important, and we can't discuss the fitness industry and fitness facilities without discussing Planet Fitness. Because with 15.2 million members in 2020, they're the market leader. All right, in terms of membership, in terms of number of members. So it's so important to evaluate what's going on, what are they doing, what type of shifts. And I've read this already, so I'm not going to spend any more time on this other than to say, them going the pivoting to integrate this $5.99 subscription-based app membership is nothing new. It's nothing novel. Number one, we've got Amazon and others who pioneered that subscription model concept a long time ago. However, when a major player like Planet pivots in that direction, there's a lot of momentum there. That's pretty much, you can almost say, and in many cases when that happens, when a market leader starts to do these different things, many others will follow. All right, and so you had, even though Planet undertook this in this new concept in 2020 as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, you had other fitness entities, private studios, private gyms that did the same thing, those that had the technology infrastructure to quickly be able to make those type of changes and leverage the technology quickly. And so I don't want to make it sound like, oh, this is some new novel concept in terms of what they're doing. No, many others had to do that last spring, but many other fitness entities had to do that last spring due to sheer survival, so they could keep their fitness facility doors open and keep that going. So it's just important to know, however, Planet with having that many members, it makes a strong statement in terms of where opportunities may lie in terms of leveraging the digitization in the fitness industry. So I had to point that out and want to shift gears here now to another article I want to highlight quickly. Now this appeared in Athletic Business. Title of this article is Future of Fitness May Be in Hybrid Models. So Jason Scott published this January 2021. I always provide the sources so you can go back and look it up if you are so interested. And so it says, I'm not going to read all of this, it's lengthy. After an unprecedented year that saw mandated closures and apprehensive customer bases hesitant to come to their facilities, the fitness industry is looking to turn the page in 2021. Okay, going to skip a little bit here and read this paragraph. Brands such as Planet Fitness shifted strategies, noting that in-person workouts were declining, and quickly invested in digital content. Today, Planet Fitness consumers can pay $5.99 a month for a subscription to an app that hosts the company's digital content. A legacy of the pandemic is that people know how to juggle various things at home now. When the pandemic dies down, digital options will be a substitute they're familiar with if they don't have time to make it to the gym, Planet Fitness CEO Chris Rondo told Bloomberg. It's ingrained in habits now. So they were testing it back in November. It is part of their everyday offerings now in the month of January. So again, they were able to quickly shift and go in that direction to really embrace the digital and the technological aspects of something that they can continue to keep some revenue streams going despite the clubs, the brick and mortar locations actually being closed during the shutdown. So it's always important to evaluate what's going on. What are the major players doing? What are the major players in your own specific markets doing? Or even the minor players. Size doesn't matter. It's important to understand exactly what is going on. Because you have to understand, a lot of people may not have assumed that YouTube was a very big competitor to in terms of brick and mortar facilities until this pandemic happened, when all of a sudden you had people flocking to YouTube and those type of places saying, hey, I can get some free training over here, or I can watch this video and exercise and do this and that, and it'll be free. And so it's always important, yes, to evaluate, your current competitors in your market, brick and mortar, but also don't forget about the competition that exists now due to the digitization of fitness offerings, as well as the virtualization and just being able to offer classes now and all of that via internet as opposed to in person. So that all presents its own opportunities and challenges, but you gotta be ahead of the game to know exactly what is going on. I mean, this competitive analysis is so important to just in terms of operations within a facility. Now, marketing, there's different aspects. HR, human resources, I do episodes from time to time, leadership episodes on HR. It's important to evaluate what your strengths are as a facility in terms of employing people versus, your competitors down the street or 2 towns over or the other side of town completely or in another state. It's important. People, what a precious resource people and employees are. So it's so important to know that. And I always like to give the caveat. We talk about the corporate chains of being LA Fitness and Lifetime and why they've, top the charts of the club industry, top 100s and how they do extremely well, and those very profit-driven corporate chains. You think from an HR perspective, and I often tell people this, with all due respect, I'm a past member of the HR Society of Detroit, so D-SHRM. And so, I learned something. I was there obviously in a training capacity as a member. This one is a training professional, but learned a lot for some wonderful HR professionals here in Detroit. And so just gained such new insight into HR, into hiring, and particularly me, and being able to apply that to the fitness industry to say, look at the 2 big chains being, LA Fitness and Lifetime, and say, well, okay, it's important to realize that because very sales driven, very highly, and very, very high expectation sales cultures for both of them. So it's just important to know that, if an individual thinks they are going to remain on the payroll, if you're in a sales role, account manager role, or personal trainer, either one of those 2, if you think you're going to remain on the payroll, telling your boss that you don't have any new clients or you're having trouble getting any new clients because of the coronavirus pandemic is keeping people away, you better just not plan to be on the payroll very long, because that is not going to, you are going to be gone, but you are going to be gone, because those cultures, those are very prospecting driven cultures from a sales perspective, meaning you need to be getting some referrals, you need to be getting some names, you need to be cold calling, you need to be reaching out to people, there's no just sit back and wait on people to come into the club or wait on people to call the club. I mean, that's a wonderful thing, and that's, from a marketing standpoint, that's what Planet does, and that's why Planet spends a lot of money, invests a lot of money on marketing. The franchisees have that advertising fund, it does really well for them, and that's why they have such high levels of brand awareness and recall. That brand is it's so valuable, that Planet Fitness brand. They advertise a lot, billboards, outdoor, all different types of radio, all over the country. And so that's important, but what is that? That's mass marketing. That's a $10 a month membership where they are trying to, they're trying to use those marketing tactics and channels and vehicles to drive people to those clubs. I mean, $10 a month, go on in, get a quick tour or not, pay your $10 and you're there. Okay, that's an easy model. There's no sales staff. It's a very simplified model, because the point that they need to start selling something, you got to have salespeople. It's going to be more complicated. But that simple model that they have, where they're not selling anything, they're selling memberships. All right, and bam, you join, there it is. Whereas in a corporate club, your LA, your Lifetime, that are very profit driven, you better be bringing in some clients on a regular basis. You better be bringing in some new members, and you better be retaining those members that we have, if you remember the member engagement team at Lifetime, for example. So they're just, but guess what? A person who's a private facility owner, private studio owner, laid back franchisee, who's easygoing and doesn't put a lot of pressure on people, and from an HR, from a hiring and recruiting standpoint, you can see where that may be advantageous to an individual that say, I prefer to be over here in this situation where I'm not getting constant sales pressure and the threat of losing my job because I can't keep finding new members, I can't keep finding new clients. Just dealing with that pressure and working long hours. Like I know people personally at Lifetime who've, account managers working 7 days a week. All right, salespeople working 7 days a week. And so that is for a lot of people, that works well for a lot of people, but it doesn't work. But you gotta know, you gotta evaluate from an even HR, a human resources standpoint, what your competitors are doing so you know how to recruit and retain your talent in that regard. So, I'm gonna move on here to an example, Anytime Fitness. Anytime Fitness, I've been following Anytime Fitness a very long time. I actually went to the grand opening here in Novi a long time ago. It was 2012. I remember that when it very first opened. The manager at the time was Patrick May and the Michaels. It was a lovely couple. They owned it, but then he since bought it. He and his wife own it now. So I've been on this mailing list for a while, and so I received an email, and so again, they do these national promotions. So I always tell people, Anytime Fitness has more than 4,500 locations across 7 continents, according to their own website, anytimefitness.com. So the sleeping giant is what I call them. The sleeping giant, Anytime Fitness, awakens 3, 4, 5 times a year with these different promotions, but this one is the most aggressive and the most compelling that I've seen in all of these years. So let me read it to you. The title is, Our Biggest Sales Blitz Starts Today. Your time is now. And it says, Dear Rachelle, if you have been waiting for the right time to focus on you by joining a gym, now is that time. Starting today, we are discounting memberships, joining fees, and personal training. Make time for you and your health by joining a gym that has all the tools you need to get and stay on track. For a limited time, join for only $19 down, get your first 2 weeks free, and save $10 a month on your membership. Plus, you get a free 1-hour fitness consultation with a certified coach, and you can save $140 on a starter training package. Our rates will never be this discounted again. Give us a call, here's your information. But it says the sale ends on 3/12/21. And so from a competitive analysis, okay, you've got Anytime with a number of chains all across the world, very strong international footprint. And so you realize what a threat that is, considering their number of locations, even particularly here in the U.S., very strong presence here. Of Anytime Fitness all across this country, having the most compelling promotional offer ever. All right, on various facets of membership, everything from joining fees to a potential $140 discount on a starter training package. So think about that. It's important to know that, because if somebody's in a situation where they are perhaps in a sales role and they're having to sell against a Lifetime, where a person comes in and says, oh, I noticed I wanted to just come in and get a tour because I just left Lifetime and I'm trying to figure out which Anytime or even Lifetime, any gym or any facility or any studio, they come in there and say, I just toured X facility or X studio, and I also wanted to check yours out too as well and see what you had to offer. Okay, that is a situation, and those are very common scenarios inside and outside the fitness industry that require competitive knowledge. Okay, have you been in a Lifetime? Do you know what amenities, why somebody may be attracted to it? Do you know how your facility relates to a Lifetime or an Anytime? Or, Anytime Fitness, they used to really publicize that kind of in and out, that 30-minute workout, you're in and out. For somebody who may be looking to that, again, the convenience of that, we're located in various shopping centers, easy to get to, yada yada, 24-hour access pre-COVID, with their key fob. And so, but it's important to know, all right, what are the strengths of your competitors? Or what are their weaknesses? What are your strengths and weaknesses? How can you neutralize your own weaknesses and enhance those strengths to gain new members based on what competitors you have in the market, folks? It is a fun process. It is a very fun process. But this right here, again, the most compelling offer I've seen from them, period. And even they admitted themselves, they've never been never had something like this before, never discounted, and they don't plan to ever do it again. But that just shows and it reflects the competitiveness of the market, but also the coronavirus impact on fitness facilities, particularly in terms of new member acquisition as well as member retention. So that's so important to note. So just had to share that with you. The sleeping giant has awoken for the first quarter of this year, and had to share that. And so I want to move on here to another example. And as we talk about competitive analysis, competitive strategy, want to highlight an article that appeared, and it's a lengthy one, so I'm not going to be reading all of this article, but it appeared in the Detroit Free Press on February 15th of this year, published by Minna Arshad, and the title is Michigan Woman Wins World's Best Female Bodybuilder Title. So, give some background, because it's lengthy and I don't have time to read all of this. So, first, female bodybuilder, Miss Olympia, okay, is right here in Detroit. And so she works out at the original location, the flagship location of Powerhouse Gym, which is located in Highland Park, Michigan. All right, in our Metro Detroit area. And so this right here is great free publicity. All right, so you have the potential in your particular market. Recognize we are still in the beginning of the year. We're still in the height of the New Year's resolutions, people's fitness dreams, goals, wellness craze, all of this and that. So it's so important to recognize that media outlets, print as well as broadcast TV, as well as online, reporters, the media, they're clamoring for these type of stories that relate to health, wellness, fitness. So it's just a matter of you recognizing, okay, what strengths do we have? What trainer do we have? What training staff do we have? What group fitness offerings do we have? What does our facility have? What is unique about us? What's our unique selling proposition relative to our others? How are we positioned relative to our competition? And that way we can promote that, just like they did. All right, and this was a wonderful article, and I have no problems giving props to my former gym franchise, a Powerhouse Gym for 5 years, 2012 to 2017. This was a good article. Great publicity. Because why? Powerhouse Gym, the chain, was founded in 1974 by Will, who's currently living and owns the Novi location here and 4 or 5 others here in Metro Detroit. But the strength of Powerhouse Gym is it has a bodybuilding foundation. Both brothers, Will and Norman, were bodybuilders. You walk into those locations that are still owned by Will, you're going to see some plaques, you're going to see some awards, you're going to see some pictures of he and his brother bodybuilding, Arnold Schwarzenegger posing, and some other bodybuilders, famous bodybuilders posing. Why? Because they operated in those bodybuilding circles in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. All right, so for the first female bodybuilder to win the award, to be here from Detroit, and I'm working out at Powerhouse Gym, the flagship location, because Powerhouse Gym is Metro Detroit based. This right here was a slam dunk. This right here is a grand slam. I mean, no matter how you want to look at it. I mean, there's a touchdown. I mean, this was a great demonstration of what can happen. But you can do the same thing. Recognize it's that time of year, folks. You have an opportunity to get some great publicity. And you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You can if you want to spend thousands of dollars on marketing, but when there's media outlets that are looking for these stories, your staff, your training staff, your group fitness staff, your health coach, your fitness coaches, whatever the case may be, have something to add, all right, that's something of value that these outlets will be looking for. So take advantage of the opportunity, but again, you got to know how to bring it, as they say. You got to know how to bring it. What are our strengths? All right, how can we leverage the opportunity with this being the beginning of the year and this fitness and health craze still going on, with people setting these 2021 goals that many have reached and many more have not reached, okay? So there's just a great opportunity there, and I challenge you to leverage that, but you got to know what's going on. But also, too, if you're competing, particularly for fitness entities that may want to, enhance their bodybuilding profile here in Metro Detroit, you got to recognize, okay, what a threat Powerhouse Gym is. Why? Because they're very strong in that particular area. And they've got different locations across the world, but Powerhouse, the bodybuilding is strongly associated with that. And so lastly, I want to give you, I'm always sharing best practices, and I'm not gonna stop now in 2021. And so I have to share with you a member survey that I received from Edge Fitness. And let me find it here. It appeared, hold on one second. I have all of these emails. Here we go. February 13, 2021. Title is, We Want to Hear From You. So keep in mind, I joined Edge on the 28th of January. And so, very nice. Again, I'm always sharing best practices. So I'm thinking out loud. what I think about things, and you can glean some insights from that. So you got a nice visual of the Sterling Heights, Michigan location of Edge Fitness. So number one, it's really good, particularly on a survey situation where people are going to provide feedback, for you to have some type of visual so it can get them mentally in the place, remembering the layout, remembering the gym, and working out depending on how often they go. That can really be a big benefit of helping them to just recall with recall of how things are inside the gym. So nice visual, nice localization in terms of having a local club being highlighted, which was wonderful. But also from a marketing standpoint, I mean, the awareness building. Remember how I told you the ADA model last week? The ADA model of a potential member or a current member, pardon me, saying Sterling Heights. Oh, I didn't know they had a club in Sterling Heights. Oh, maybe I got family in Sterling Heights, or my work in Sterling Heights. Maybe I'm a member of this club now. But let me think about joining, in upgrading my membership so I can have access to other clubs. What other clubs are there? Maybe I need to look at upgrading my membership. All right. So that's important to note that. But a very nice brief copy here included in this email. It says, "Hi Rachelle, we want to hear from you. At The Edge, we're committed to helping you achieve your fitness goals. We would love your insight and input on how we're doing. Please take a few minutes to complete the below survey. Your feedback is very important to us." So nice, quick, brief, with a good visual. And so I have the questions. I wrote the survey questions. I did the survey, but I wrote them down because kudos. The survey design on this was very, very good. Very good survey. And so I'm not going to go through all of the questions, but I just want to highlight a few, and I want you to really think long and hard about this. Is something, asking for feedback is so easy, but so often not done. I mean, this is something that I cannot overestimate, the importance of asking potential members, as well as current members or even past members, get that feedback. It is so important. It is so important. Number one, where did you work out before joining The Edge? Great question. And also another good point that I want to make about the survey design for this is a nice mix of open-ended and closed-ended questions. So closed-ended questions, we've all seen them, yes, no, evaluate this, 110, whatever the case, but very, very, just not a lot of room for speaking or expression. Just here's what it is, cut and dry, closed-ended. Open-ended, you have room to talk, whether somebody's asking you some questions on the phone, doing a market research survey, or you're doing a survey like this where there's a box. All right, so you can share your thoughts in that box. And so it's so important to have a combination of both, because those open-ended responses will give you a lot more insight than often the case only having something just close-ended questions, yes, no. Number two, what was your reason for joining The Edge? Great question. And something that a question like that can certainly lead to is they'll tell you what your strengths are. This is why I left my gym because X. Your gym has this, it has this. You'll get a lot of this right here. All right. But also that can tell you can hear about some of the weaknesses of other facilities, but also you can see where some opportunities may lie. So just a really good question. It was open-ended. Next, how often do you work out at The Edge? Now, this is a question because, again, you can segment the data based on how often someone works out. I mean, you can make different conclusions, draw different conclusions, versus somebody who always works out and somebody who rarely works out. I mean, I don't want to get into a whole conversation on survey design and methodology of survey design and all of that, but just I remember laughing at myself when I saw that question, because I put 3 times a week, how often do I work out at The Edge? And I thought to myself, man, pre-COVID, when it was all about gyms, that number would have been 6, but I was literally looking at that number like, I am only putting 3 times a week. It just felt so weird for me to put that, but it's true, because I'm splitting my time now here at Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. All right, next, what amenities have you used at The Edge? And a list of amenities, real good, won't go into all of those. Next, how would you compare the fitness amenities at The Edge versus other gyms you've been a member of in the past? Again, competitive, what did I tell you when I talked about the pros of Edge? 3 weeks ago when I talked about that, just I could sense it, I could see it, and then the weekly emails, just some competitive strategy, competitive analysis, I could see it. And then you see it coming out in these questions and the types of questions. These are really good questions. All right, so evaluating us versus the competition that you've been associated with, a member of. How do we stack up? Just great question. All right, going to skip the next question. Next question I'm going to read. How would you compare the cost/value of an Edge membership to other gyms you've been a member of in the past? Great question. Great question, because you're looking at value proposition, value perceptions of your members of the current gym, in this case Edge versus previous gyms. Great question. Will tell you a lot. All right, so next question I'm going to skip. I'm going to quickly highlight here this last question. Please share any final comments and feedback with us, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to read the rest of the question. And so it was open-ended question, another open-ended question. So I had 5 bullet points. I mean, they're doing a great job, an excellent job. I mean, I'm just having an exceptional experience as a member. But I did share, and I don't have time to go into all of that and all the feedback that I provided, but it was certainly positive, reflected my positive experience as a new member. But I will share bullet point number 5. So I did this question here, share any final comments. So I had 5 bullet points. So the last one I have is, you really need to raise your membership prices. I understand the competitive pressure that COVID has placed on fitness facilities, and it might be tough to do so right now. Perhaps price increases could be revisited at a later date during strategic planning. Edge Fitness's value proposition and club offerings, and I put in caps, are way too strong for your current prices. Now, for some of you who haven't watched me long and may be surprised that I actually said that, I'm a consultant, so it is very easy for me to detach. Again, yes, I'm a member. Yes, I have feelings personally, about my membership, and it's great and it's wonderful. But I can also take a step back, look at the situation objectively, looking at those prices, which are just, from a consumer standpoint, from a member standpoint, the prices are great. But I'm just thinking I'm able to look at both. I'm able to look at both angles, the member standpoint, but as well as the gym standpoint itself, operationally in terms of revenues. There's definitely some opportunities, because I just feel that what's being offered in terms versus what's being charged, there's an opportunity for growth. And yes, it's a tough market. We know the coronavirus has put a lot of competitive pressure and just threats on the market. But 12 months of strategic planning, 12 months, 24, 36, 48 months down the road, you could look at potentially incremental price increases, not only just for Edge, but think about your own situation. If you've done a good job building value in terms of what you're offering inside the clubs relative to the competition. See, people are surprised that I'm like, you really want them to raise your own price? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, because I'm more concerned about the long-term success and the long-term profitability and all of that, because I've been in a whole lot of gyms. For those who don't know my story, I am the daughter of Oscar Smith Jr. I highlighted my parents last week, but Oscar Smith Jr. got his undergraduate degree from Mississippi State University in physical education. Okay, and so I am the daughter of a retired recreation, fitness, and sports professional. All right, so I grew up in gyms. I grew up in that environment. I've been in a lot of just, yes, in childhood and all of that, but even since my own journey, which my marker is May 17th, 1994, I've been in a whole lot of gyms. In different states and different countries, military facilities, community facilities, church gyms, YMCAs, commercial gyms, studios, privately owned, corporate chains. I've just been in a lot. Boutique, smaller studios versus big general fitness. And so I've got a lot of breadth and depth of experience. Why? Because I was open-minded and just exposed myself a lot. But I'm just able to look at the situation at my gym and say, this is the value proposition here is very strong, very, very strong. Just the breadth of equipment, and just, the wonderful maintenance. There's just a lot of good things. Some of the competitive advantages that it has relative to other gyms, such as the turf, such as the 3 lanes on the other side of the turf. There's others that I won't get into, but there's a reason why I said that. I don't just go around telling everybody that I do business with or, that I'm affiliated with, you need to raise your prices. I just feel very strongly that there is an opportunity there down the road in terms of strategic planning and looking at that. So think about your own pricing, even from a personal training standpoint. The prices that you charge. if you're able to communicate the value that you will bring to a member, to a customer, to your own training client, recognize that price piece is huge. The 4 P's of marketing. 4 P's of marketing. Product, promotion, price, and place. Right? That price piece is huge, but you want to make sure you've got a value proposition strong enough to support that price. So I just had to point that out, folks. But competitive analysis, do your homework. I feel like, somebody's teacher saying, do your homework, but do your competitive analysis. You will not regret it. Next week, we're going to look at fitness trends. I cannot wait. But until then, remember, I am positive about your success, fitness, and leadership. Make it a great day.